Welcome back, friends. In another lesson we're going to have on Python, and today we are on lesson 12, that is debugging and error handling. For debugging, we are going to see how to identify some common errors like syntax error, which is an error that occurs when the code violates Python's grammar rules. Okay, like for instance, a missing semicolon or parenthesis. So we'll look at those kind of errors. We'll also look at runtime errors, which are errors that occur when the code runs but encounters some issues. For instance, dividing a number by 0 or undefined variables. Then we'll also see logic errors, like these are errors that occur when we run our program. It does not crash but produces incorrect results due to some errors, logical errors. Okay, so and then we are also going to see how to debug an error using try except. Okay, try except to handle some errors. Then lastly, we are going to use some tools, some debugging tools in Tony, okay, that will help us to detect errors and correct them. So without wasting time, let's go to Python. So this is our Tony. I'm going to erase everything that is here and take some examples. We'll start first of all with an example to show a syntax error. Okay, a simple example on a syntax error. Okay, now let's take for example that we say that a user enters let's say an integer. Okay, enter a number and after entering the number, now we verify just by saying that if number greater than or equals to 10, okay, and if it is greater than or equals to 10, we bring past, for instance, just as simple as that. We bring past. Okay, let's just take this. Let's run our code. You will see the error. Let's see. So we see this is our code here, but look at the output. Look at what the error is. It says num equals to okay, we do not close. That is an example of an error. That's the first error. Okay, we're supposed to close. You see that because of this parenthesis that we do not put, an error message occurred. You see syntax error. Now written here, syntax error, bracket open was not closed. So let's move. Okay, let's see. The second error, it says that syntax error, expected column, okay, on the line that I've indicated the line where column was supposed to be. Okay, so here we're supposed to have a column before moving. For if statement, that's how we use if statement. It ends with a column, just as loops too. So with that now we have added it. Let's see what we're going to have. So you see there's no error again. So there's no error, and since there's no error, it means we have solved that syntax error. You can see pass because it is 10 and above. Okay, false in that range. So we are going to move now to the next error, which is a runtime error. we'll try to take the number, this number 10, and then divide by 0 to see what it's going to give us, okay, for the runtime error. Let's just check this out. Okay, let's want to print, just to print a number we enter divided by 10. So we want to print the result, which is that our number divided by 0. Or maybe I'll put it this way, put it in the form of a message. The number divided by 0. The number, okay, the number, of course, number num divided by 0 is let's see, syntax for runtime error. So let's see what is going to appear. So voila, they say 0 division error, division by 0. So we're trying to divide a number by 0. That's why it has sent that error, this error here. Okay. So to correct that, you don't divide a number by 0. So let me just correct it and put maybe divided by 2 so that the runtime error disappears. So the number 10 divided by 0 is 5. So that's an example of a runtime error. Okay, we'll go now to a logical error. I will take a simple example. I'm taking the number, okay, I want to calculate the average of two numbers, okay, the average of two numbers, which I will call them, maybe I'll call it the first number num1, the second number I'll call it num2, okay, and that is I take in two numbers, num1 and num2. Okay, and then I want to calculate the average, which I'll call AVG. AVG num1 plus num2 divided by 2. Okay, so and then I will say the average is average. The average of num1 and num2 is average. So let's run and see. This is now to test the logic error, an example of a logic error. So let's say 12 and 2. The result is normally supposed to give us 14. But look at what we have here. The average of 12 and 2 is 13, which is not correct. There is no error. There was no error returned, but the result does not correspond to what we expected. Why? Because of the condition of our average here. You see, here in average, you can see that average is average was supposed to be the sum of the first number plus the second number, like this, plus the second number before you divide by 2. but he just took the second number, and the second number was 2. 2 divided by 2 will give us 1. 1 plus the first number, which was 12, the reason why we have 13. So if we do that, we click on this now. We wait for the number 12 and 2, so it should give us 7. Average of 12 and 2 is 7. So that is it about the logical syntax and runtime errors. But now there's a way we can do that using try and except. Okay, so we are going to try all of what we did before for runtime, for each and every one of these. Okay, we use try. Okay, so I'll start with try column. Okay, try column. So I'll take in the 2 numbers. I'll try that runtime error. No, I'll try the syntax error. Okay, or maybe I'll start with division by 0. Okay, as average. Division by 0. So after that, we now have we print the average is this. Okay, so let me put back 2. No, 0. The average is this. Or let me see. I'll just take a number. Okay. Call it num, and then I'll call the variable result, which is let's say 1000 divided by that number. So we want to verify that if the number is 0, how does it appear? How is the message going to be? So we'll just say the result is result. Okay. So now we'll try this and then except. So it should take this except the number we entered is they call it 0 division error. 0 division error. If it is a 0 division error, then we'll send the message print you cannot divide by 0. Okay, so that is it. So let's run and see. So if I enter 0 as a number, it says you cannot divide by 0. So that's another way of correcting errors or handling errors using try and except. Okay, try and except. Okay, we can also try for the data types. For instance, you ask the user to enter a number here. Okay, you ask the user to enter an integer, and then there is a value error. We'll put except value error. Maybe the user insert enters a float, okay, or a string. So say invalid data. Let's try this. So I'll enter a float. It says invalid data. Okay. But now let me also try by entering a string. Text. It says invalid data. But once you enter normal data, say 12, it does the calculation for you. Okay. So that's it. Another way we could detect errors is by writing the code using, can also fix errors using the debug. Okay, so that is going to take us time, for it consume more than, but this is a button to debug. You can also put breaks. Okay, we'll see that in our next class. Thank you very much, and make sure you subscribe if you have not yet done so. Like our videos, comment and share. See you in our next class.